Let me tell you two stories, one about life and one about death, and how about a facility dog is changing our police department. It had already been a busy day. I was a couple of reports down, but I was able to make it home to eat dinner with my family. As I'm walking to the front door, I can hear my kids laughing and playing inside. But I walk through the front door, and I hear dispatch on the radio requesting units to clear for a 911 call that came from a local large business. The dispatch said that they could hear a female on the other end of the line say something about her husband right before the line disconnected. So as soon as I got in, I had to go out, and I was giving my kids and everybody kisses because it wasn't what dispatch had just said, but it was how she said it. There was concern in her voice. And just as I'm finishing up with my hugs and kisses, dispatch comes back on the air, this time full urgency in her voice, requesting that all units now go to this 911 call, as they just had reports of shots fired in the parking lot. So I get in my squad car, turn on my lights and sirens, and I'm racing to this scene. I'm one of the first to arrive. We find the vehicle where the shooting had occurred, and training immediately kicks in. We set up behind the vehicle, we get on all of our protective gear, and we try to make verbal contact with the people inside. Now I could see a female in the driver's seat and a male in the front passenger seat. But where's the shooter? Where's this gun? Is the shooter still in the car? Did the shooter go to another vehicle that's in the parking lot, or maybe back inside the building, and it's gonna hurt more people? Or did the shooter leave? So once we got more people on scene, we made a dual-side approach, and I went to the passenger side of the vehicle to open up the door. And when I opened up the door, I could see that the female driver had a gunshot wound to their head and clearly deceased. I then looked at the male, who also had a gunshot wound to the head, but he was still breathing. He still had life in him, so he needed help, and he needed help now. As I reach in to pull him out, I could see that his left hand is holding the driver's right hand. And as I start to pull him out, there it was. A black handgun falls in between his seat and the center console. But I'm able to pull him out. We start life-saving measures until the ambulance crew arrives. But once the ambulance crew arrived and took over, I couldn't get up and continue to do my job. I stayed kneeling in the parking lot, not being able to move for whatever reason, but I could see his left hand holding onto her right hand. Now, I told you that story to make you think about trauma and everything that occurs in our community. This was a very big situation and scene, but I can guarantee you that there are hundreds of smaller scenes every single day that occur in your community, in your neighborhood. But let's look and let's see how many people in this one scene were affected. We have the deceased's friends and family, co-workers. We have our 911 dispatcher, our officers, our ambulance crew, our ER staff. Everyone was affected in different ways from one single incident. So how do we help these people? How do we help them get over this trauma or help them start to process it in a healthy and effective way? Well, it's a twofold question. We have long-term support and short-term support. Long-term support is still the same. We want people to go see their doctor, their therapist, their counselor, take appropriate medications. We want them to get enough sleep and eat well and stay away from drugs and alcohol. But it's the short term that we struggle. How are we supposed to talk to a 6-year-old boy whose dad just died in a motorcycle crash? How do we console a mother whose 16-year-old daughter just overdosed on heroin? Well, I can tell you that our police department is trying something different. Right next to donuts, law enforcement officers love canines. think about everything that they do for us. They help us in the most tricky situations. We use them to find drugs, explosive devices, to find people, and to apprehend them. So why can't we have a mental health dog? I'm Officer Sopata. I've been a police officer for 10 years. And during that 10 years, I've held multiple positions within the police department. But as of a year ago, I became our city and our county's first behavioral health officer. Being the first behavioral health officer, I was given a very unique opportunity to start working with one of these canines. To get this canine, though, we had to partner with a local nonprofit called Journey Together. Now, Journey Together trains service dogs within our local prison system. So my journey to work with this canine took me out of this uniform and into the prison to be taught by a prisoner. That was a very humbling and unique experience that I will never forget. But after 2 months of going in and out of the prison and working with Journey Together, I was matched with a 2-year-old golden retriever named Magic, who is a facility dog. So how does our police department use Magic? Well, we use her in 3 ways. First, Magic comes to work with me every single day, and she comes into the office, and all of our employees, officers, sworn, non-sworn, every single employee is encouraged to interact with Magic in any way that they see fit, whether that's giving her pets, making her do tricks, or playing games with her. We understand that people have personal lives and that there's a lot of stress that comes from your personal life. But then you have to add the extra stress that a police department brings, and that sometimes can be overwhelming. So we want people to be able to interact with Magic and kind of have that mental health reset so that they can get through their day and be more productive and be happier. But we take this a step further as well. We understand that we're not the only entity in the city that has a hard time. So we go to City Hall, we go to our dispatch center, and we also go to our district attorney's office. So their employees as well can have that mental health reset. The second way is through community outreach. On the back of every one of our squad cars, there's a short and simple saying, "Know us before you need us." And I take that to heart. So we bring Magic to as many community events as we can, so people can interact with us and ask us questions when they're not in crisis, so that they can, again, know us before they need us. But again, we're going to take this one step farther, and we go to the entities within the city that help our most vulnerable populations. So we go to our homeless shelter, our crisis center, human services, our hospitals. So again, people can interact with Magic when maybe they're not in crisis, but they can, again, know that the resource is there for them if they become in one. The last way is on calls for service. There's a kennel in the back of my squad car, and Magic gets to go on every single call for service that I go on. So how does Magic work, right? Magic interacts with people and entices petting by touching them. So Magic will come and she will rub up against your leg. Or maybe if you're sitting down, she'll nudge your arm with her elbow, or she'll nudge your elbow with her nose. Or if you're laying down and are in a complete crisis, she's trained to lay down and then lean into you. Again, creating that sense of touch that will entice people to pet her. And when they pet her, that is when the therapeutic value comes into play in giving somebody that silent support that they sometimes very much need. Working opportunities, though, for dogs like Magic are just starting. We have gotten dozens of calls from all over the United States of organizations, police departments, school districts, district attorney's office, and believe it or not, the prison system, wanting to know about our program with Magic and all of the benefits that she gives to us. Let me close with one additional story. Officers were dispatched to the frontage road here in the city of Oshkosh for a 15-year-old juvenile female who was trying to run into traffic and kill herself. The responding officers got on scene and were able to get control of her and get her out of the street. But she was continuing to fight and try to get past the officers to get back into that street. Magic and I were deployed And we got on scene, and I started to talk to the female. Even before I could get a single word out, the female looked at my badge and said that she didn't trust me simply because I was a police officer. So how do we help this person? Right? We can't just let her go. She's going to go back into the street and try to hurt herself and affect other people as well. So we use those active listening skills. We talk with them, we develop rapport and develop empathy because this is their crisis, not mine. So as I'm talking with her, we're starting to figure out a little bit of what's going on here. And I tell her about magic, and I ask her if she wants to interact with her. And she quickly says no. But again, it wasn't what she said, it was how she said it. The answer was quick and emotion-filled. So I continued my active listening skills, and we were able to continue to talk until she calmed down a little bit more. And at that point, I reintroduced magic, and this time she said yes. But remember, she was just trying to push past officers to try to kill herself. So I had to ask her, if magic comes out, I need to make sure that you're going to be safe and that magic's going to be safe. She looked me square in the eyes and said that she would never hurt a dog. Magic was deployed, and within minutes, the female's crisis had subdued. We were able to take the handcuffs off of her, and we were able to rejoin her with her mother to give her that long-term and short-term support that she desperately needed in that time of crisis. So in this situation, there was no additional weapons that needed to be used, no injuries, no uses of force, just plain voluntary compliance. And that is where the magic happens.